Hello everyone, my name is Uthris and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Last episode we were getting trouble getting the tourism up and running. In fact, we kind of lost a good bit of money, time, and personnel. Jebediah Kerman is no longer with us. Now, Kerbal Space Program will always try and give you back Jebediah if he's ever lost. He is the one most likely to be lost, actually. But because of this being a decent playthrough, hopefully, I am keeping Jebediah off the roster. So every time he comes back, kicking him out. We don't want them to return if they end up failing on a mission, and I think that is for the best. So we're gonna need a new pilot. We have Valentina, so in fact, she is most likely going to be the one taking over the controls going forward here today. We still have Bill and Bob, and so we still have three crew, and we are going to be looking up. Let's go to mission control, and you can see that we kind of failed the ferry to tourists. Sadly, they were lost with Jeb on that breakup over the atmosphere, and so we're just gonna be, I guess, going to the moon today. We've already been around the moon, which is fine, but I think today we want to, we're gonna go ahead and cancel that contract. We're going to go ahead and get science data from space around the moon, and we're gonna see how all this goes. We already have had a rocket get there. In fact, if we go and open this up, you can see our, well, if for some reason it's gone. Okay, we'll just have to load this up. So this is essentially the rocket that would have gotten us to the moon anyways. But it's just, instead of science modules, it has the crew cabin during our tourism days, which we'll no longer speak of going forward. I'm gonna re-add our little cargo bay here onto this, and we will just shift it up ever so slightly so it's flush, because for some reason that extra little lip has always bugged me. Alright, and we're gonna go ahead and open it up and take a look inside. You can see a lot of stuff in here. We're gonna get some thermal heating, something that we probably could have used on the last episode, but failed to foresee that kind of future for us. And what I'm gonna do is get a decoupler on here, TD12. Alright, and that's fine. We'll bring some science modules with us. In theory, we could bring a science junior on the actual module itself. So you know what? We might end up doing that. It'll be a little bit heavier of a trip because of this extra item, but we can hopefully adjust for that by adding a few new parachutes on here, and hopefully taking the re-entry a little slower than before. So let's grab two goo bays. We will grab two pressures, and I guess I'll just stick the thermometer somewhere. I guess I can stick them on the interior wall here. Maybe, if it'll let us do that. It should let us do that. Come on, click. Okay, maybe it only wants me to put it inside, so that's fine too. I can do that. And just like that. So we have temperature readouts, we have pressure readouts, and things like that, which is great. So we're gonna go ahead and close this up. Now this whole stage is very important. It is, I guess, what I'm going to be considering our command module. We are going to be bringing an additional module here, and hopefully this is going to be working out. And I don't even know if I really even have the function for it. Do I have a docking port? I might not have that researched yet. Am I getting ahead of myself? It looks like I am. So scratch that. This is this is basically the only thing going up and coming back. That's fine. So we'll do this, and then 2 additional parachutes on the side. We'll use the drogue chute here in the back, just simply to slow us down in hopefully the upper atmosphere. We will use then 3 parachutes to fully come down softly. We do have this science bay, and it does not like hard landings. So for that, we're gonna go ahead. Can I open the doors here? I want to go ahead and add potentially some landing gear. And close doors. Okay. And start retracting. That way, if we do end up having to land on a hard surface, we can deploy these and hopefully shelter the blow from this science module. This is the first time we have ever really put in the science module in any of our flights. So I'm kind of interested to see how they perform, and hopefully it brings a lot of science for us. So let's start extended. I'm gonna do a test flight real quick. I just want to test these landing gear because I'm trying to clip it into the body a little bit so that it survives the heat a little bit better and makes the whole thing a little bit more streamlined looking. So this is going to be the Moon Explorer MK2, because technically we've already made the first one, so we're gonna go ahead and save. Okay, cool. And we're gonna go ahead and launch this. And since we saved this by itself, we can attach it to basically any rocket, right? So we can make a rocket and actually go ahead and attach this to basically any of them. So we have this, so let's go ahead and toggle gear. So it works, That's good. And you can see they do have some shock absorption to them, so I can kind of just get this thing to rotate a bit for us. And kind of just wobbles back and forth. That's really cool. Anyway, we can get... Yeah, see, we can wobble it. All right. So we will revert flight to vehicle assembly. So those gears aren't a problem. I'm actually going to go ahead, since we're going farther than normal, than just low orbit, I'm going to go ahead and just simply bring a battery pack with us. There we go. Because you never know. And we don't have solar panels yet, so that's kind of a factor. Okay, so we have this. We have all the way down to the decoupler unit and the heat shielding. And this vehicle should work fine. Let us make sure the drogue chute comes out first. All right, and resave. Okay, so we have the launch vehicle to be built now. And do we have a wider... I mean, we do. I could like stack a whole bunch of these fuel tanks onto each other, but I just don't think that would look good. I think we're stuck with kind of the standard size tanks here. That's fine. All right, so let's extend this out. We'll just use a Terrier engine out there in space. This is pretty much the thing that will return from the moon. Everything else, if there's like maybe some of the initial lower stages left, you know, to me that's just a bonus. I don't really sit there and calculate the exact delta V that we need, because to be honest, I enjoy kind of winging it. All right, let's grab that too. All right, so that's the uppermost stage. Let's go ahead and get to the mainsail and then the boosters that'll actually get us into orbit. So mainsail here. 2, 3, and 4. So we're gonna go back to our engines here, and you can see I really like the Thud liquid engines. They kind of really have a good... Where's their ISP? Where is their ISP? There, 275, 305 in vacuum. Which is basically almost as well as the Terrier. And we can kind of fit more of them on there. So if we fit 4 of these, it'll be basically the equivalent of having 2 Reliants in kind of a smaller space. So that's what we did before. So I'm going to click them there. And then we're just going to move them inwards. Just like that. And that's going to offer us plenty of vectoring, because each one of them can do that. So this will hopefully get us straight to the moon. We're not going to go into orbit properly. We're going to just go up and just go straight for it. It is a little bit more fuel efficient to do that. So we will grab some couplers at this point. And just because I really want to make sure we get there, we are going to go with 2 boosters. And the interesting thing is, I wouldn't mind testing. This almost kind of looks like the Falcon Heavy at this point, if you think about it. We're going to be testing kind of the same thing here for our boosters. I think that would be neat. And if they work out well, what I can do is just use the side boosters basically for the whole first part of the launch, and then we can use the other ones kind of later on. So currently this is it. Are we overweight? We're only at 50 parts. Everything else seems to be looking fine. I do not want these to decouple at the same time as firing. That would be very awkward. And let's go ahead, we will add some stabilization here. Get this low to the ground. We will also go ahead and, just for the heck of it and RP reasons, let's go ahead and get a drogue chute here. And a parachute. So basically when these go off during separation. Now the aerodynamic forces might prevent that. It depends on how fast we are going. But it could be interesting to just let those parachute back down. And that would be it. So that should be our little rocket. So it's time for its first little test flight here. Let's go ahead and pick the crew. Valentina is the pilot on this one, so that's fine. I'm not gonna do any special staging, and we are pretty much good to go now. Let us go to the map almost immediately and see where the moon is. Now you kind of want, whoa, it's showing like all the orbit lines. Now you kind of want the moon to be kind of closer to the horizon line, maybe a little bit before, kind of depending on how fast you can accelerate. So we might have to wait about a day, because we're gonna rotate faster than the moon was. Okay, and about like that. Okay. We are go for launch on this morning. And we are just gonna go that way there, towards the sun, which will eventually turn into the moon. So we're gonna go ahead and do full throttle here. Valentina, this is your first flight. I hope you the best. And here we go. That's fast. Gonna go ahead and throttle down just so they can last a little longer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna really try and conserve fuel here. So at about 100 meters a second, while we are in this thicker atmosphere, I'll try and just go slow. We are still picking up speed, But I want to save the bulk of our thrust for the thinner parts of the atmosphere, so that we can get up to speed with all 3 of these boosters being in use still. So we are approaching 5,000 meters now, and we're gonna go straight up for a little bit. Which is pretty good. I can actually slow down a little bit more. There we go. Just barely enough. And now, about at this stage, what I'll do is I'm going to start rotating over and accelerating back up. We got some flex in our vehicle, which is not good. So hold on, stop the thrust. Get a little bit of it back so we can maintain control using vectoring here. So we probably just simply turned too sharply on this one. So we can accelerate back up now. And we stage. There goes their parachutes. So hopefully they will survive just fine. And we will use the rest of our energy here on this main section to pretty much get us going. And there's the moon, basically right there. Front of us, pretty close to the sun. It's a little weird, like you never really see the moon and sun so close together because you don't really think about it, that they can be roughly in the same sky, even though, say, it's daytime. Alright, now I'm gonna go basically completely horizontal here. As we simply try and push this up as much as possible. And now, separation. Use our Reliant engine here. We're gonna set this as target. We did upgrade the tracking station on Kerbal after we went to the moon the first time in a round, so I can actually lock onto it. And hopefully we'll be able to see... Hopefully we will be able to see the actual orbit intersect a little bit better than last time. Here we go. Try and push that out there as much as possible. We probably didn't go horizontal as soon as we should have, but that's fine. And I'm trying to get the prograde indicator basically in line up with our target here so that we can try and force as much of our energy going forward as possible. So here is the moon. Check it out. It looks really good. So we are back here, and maybe we can get to Minmus at some point. So we pretty much, our closest approach is about 300,000 meters, which is pretty good. For not really calculating anything. And we could have adjusted that on the way here. So here is the moon, everyone. I know, it's been so long since we've been here. This is being, for some reason, far more successful than the tourism one. So let's turn on some lights. Do this. Take a good old classic screenshot there. We're gonna go ahead and observe materials bay. 50 science. Wow, guys, that's impressive. We're gonna close the doors though, because we don't want the atmosphere to mess with them. We're gonna open these bays. We're gonna go ahead, take a crew report. Nothing to really do there. Observe some goo, maybe. Just a little bit of science. Log some pressure. And log temperature. Nothing to really do there either. Okay, that's fine. All right. We are basically then set to continue onwards And you'll see this line will reconnect up to about that point there. And then we are basically stuck in Kerbin at this point. And we're past the moon. We are farther from Kerbin than the moon now. And let's just, by chance, see if there's a crew report to do out here. There is. This is high in space, so it is a little bit different than maybe anything we've collected kind of before, which is kind of good. So log temperature, nothing about temperature though. That's fine. We'll go ahead and close this up. So on her first flight, she has been training, watching Jebediah closely. She makes it to the moon. And now let's see if she can make it back. I would do a test of my landing gear, but I'm a little worried as soon as I extend them, it might just pop off my heat shield, so I'd rather keep the heat shield on than test the landing gear right now. So we are technically officially in orbit here, which is interesting. And then we kind of are falling back into the atmosphere now as we start heating up. It feels like we've gone through this before. What? Why? Why did that happen? So we lost the science stage, which is a problem. Why did that happen at all? Like, I know I sped up time and I totally missed whatever did that, but maybe the landing gear exploded and that caused an issue? Now the only thing left here is the service bay, which I don't think has any ablative material on it at all, so we'll see how all this goes. Oh man, now I'm upset. That science bay was going to give us 50 science. Now, we still have... Actually, I don't think we do. I think the only thing that had the science... Well, no. I think maybe one goo canister still has it. So we might be able to complete the mission still, but that is such a loss of science there. That could have been enough to buy some new parts. I'm very disappointed in that. So the camera rotating now, basically signaling that we have switched into more of a kind of final trajectory here. You can see a ballistic arc is forming across the landscape. Oh, no, don't lose it there. I will not lose another Kerbin at this point. Oh, well, that was scary. Now, the fight of trying to keep this constantly pointing retrograde is on. Come on. Come on. Boy, that was not good. I mean, luckily, I think we got the slope correct for the upper atmosphere. We are starting to really slow down now. The heating effects will probably cease in just a moment. And we have a nice plain sort of area to land in. We're not going to hit any mountains. We are still plenty high in the atmosphere. You can just hear the flames kind of going away now. And this is, by the way, the atmospheric effects. Apparently, F12 turns that on and off. So let me just turn that off. There we go. Aerodynamic forces disable. Yeah, that's fine. We're just gonna let it naturally stabilize here. So turn off SAS. In fact, let's spin it and see if we can't get it back to retrograde. Nah. Nope. Alright, at this point we can just go ahead and deploy the drone chute. This will kind of get us to stop spinning, or at least spin in such a way that the other parachutes can be deployed safely. and start slowing us down even further. So this, it is safe to deploy the parachutes, but I'm going to wait till about 5,000 meters or so before we can do that. All right, so we can go ahead and recover the vessel. I think we did get some science. Oh wow, we are 1 point away from being able to buy upgrades for some science. But however, Valentina did level up, which is good. And taking a look at the mission log, we succeeded that mission, so that is fine. Mission control now. Now they're asking for scientific data from the surface of the moon. And I might be able to do that. I might be able to do that. So let's go check out the research R&D area. And really what I wanted was, when do we get couplers? Is it this? Yeah, it's the clampatron. And we need 90 science, and we're 0.6 science short. Oh, that just hurts when you get something like that. Okay, so let's go ahead to the next day. Give everyone a nice break. Ooh, beautiful morning. Okay, so we just need to go back to the vehicle assembly building now. I want to see if we can get the science junior to survive, because that was a lot of science, and I wouldn't mind trying to get a little bit more longevity out of the lower stage here. And we have a couple options for that. Since we have so many engines down here, we could have the option to maybe just use all the stages at once at a lower thrust, right? And offer like optimum lift from the get-go. That's something I probably want to test as well, just to see if that helps any. And then really what I think happened with this is that the landing gear might have gotten kind of damaged in a way. So we're gonna pop them back out. And if they were inside the Science Junior and they exploded because of the atmosphere reentry effects, then that might have been the thing that killed it. I don't think it died from heat damage. I really don't. So we're not gonna change anything. We're gonna basically keep this setup and see if it works. Let's just see if the heat shield should be down here, right? Yeah, it's right there. So, no clue what happened to that one. So let's go ahead. Minor changes, just with setup, and we're gonna go hit return to the moon. See if we can get any closer to the moon. I think that would be cool. So here we go. Couple quick jumps to the moon, and I think next episode what we'll do is focus on getting landed on the moon. All right, full thrust, and go. Wow, that's fast. All right, let's just do half thrust the whole way. So you can see the forces are gonna be pretty strong here on the rocket. One could argue that I'm wasting a lot of fuel, probably in the lower atmosphere here, which is most likely true. I mean, if you think about it, we've almost gone through this whole lower portion just to go this high, which is not really ideal. So maybe rotating a little bit earlier would work. I didn't even see where the moon was today. Where is the moon? Not in a good spot at all. I just want to see how this can good. Overall, okay. I mean, it could have been way better and more efficient. I mean, we definitely got really high, really fast, but the main issue is this is not enough to really get to the moon. So that test flight is kind of eh. That was eh. So I think the other setup was simply just better, so that we can save this main sail for later. So let's just go ahead and launch it again, and this time the moon will be in the correct position. Positioning is important, people. So we're gonna catch up to the moon here. It's gonna be a night launch. I think I went a little far. Might have gone just a little far, but we'll see. All right, and launch. Night launches are cool. It's a little dark for YouTube, probably, in my opinion, but that's fine. So this time I'm gonna do it a little bit different than the first attempt. What I'm gonna do is try and get up to close to 200 meters a second, and then cut throttle. And what that'll do is hopefully get us through this light blue atmosphere up here twice as fast as the previous attempt. And just keep lowering the throttle as we go, probably to about 10,000 or so. We'll go ahead and set the moon to our target here. Good. And we'll start kind of picking up speed now. So 3/4 thrust. I think it's fine. We have some shaking in the structure. I really should have added struts to this. Probably would have helped that effect a lot. Alright. Now we are on the mainsail here. I really think this is better because we have this whole tank which is full of fuel, and we're basically starting at 24,000 meters, which is very good. I think at this point we're just going to go full throttle and basically full horizontal here. Get as much speed as possible out of this 4 engines. And we'll start just going straight at the moon. Probably need to go a little bit higher. As you can see, our apoapsis is not even in space yet. Alright, next stage is good. Keep building that speed up. And we should be able to just point simply at the moon the whole time. In fact, I'll point a little bit below. Again, just to get our prograde meter basically lining up straight there. How's our angle? 8 degrees. I'm going to adjust that a bit early on here. All right, we are burning. I think we're gonna do a little bit better than the last time. Sometimes it takes multiple flights to know, your limitations of your vehicle, how it's gonna really perform for you. All right, that is looking good. Now, it probably would have been a little bit more efficient to have the moon kind of lower in the horizon when it started burning at it. This kind of gap here means I'm probably going to have to burn a little bit farther than the moon than I probably wanted to. Just like last time. But that's fine. It's basically, to fix that, you just change the time you take off. Whoa, that's a gravity assist I ever saw one. Alright, we need a moon periap to pop up. There it is. 104,000. So we're gonna get closer. A good bit closer. Now, this is gonna kick us out pretty far too. In fact, the funny thing, it kind of kicks us out towards Minmus, which is interesting. We technically could stay out here all the way to Minmus. It would take a couple rotations for Minmus to probably get close enough and a little bit of adjustment to do it. But it is... nah. I don't think I have enough fuel to really adjust this down and also get into Minmus and come back. That's a little much for how much fuel I had left. If I had this whole upper stage, I'd probably be going to Minmus as well today, but it doesn't look like that's going to be happening, so. So we'll just accelerate time again here. Boop. And get right into the moon. So this is basically the closest point that we get to the moon here, and you can see, wow, we're really close to it. This would be if I had a lander and everything, I would be thinking about landing at this point, but not quite there yet. That's going to be next episode where we get on the moon for the first time here. But we can go ahead, get materials bay working here. We are a bit closer to the moon than last time, so maybe the goo will give us some more. Yeah, it will. Okay, close. See if we get a crew report. Nope. Open this back up. I doubt I can get pressure, and I doubt I can get any temperature reading out of this either. Yeah, no. Alright, so we're going to close these back up. We're basically at the moon again. And now we just kind of chill as we go out farther. Now, if I wanted to go to Minmus, one, I would have to add a maneuver to go that way a bit, right? And slow us down a lot. Quite a lot, actually. We would essentially have to try and move the orbit this way. Now, granted, I could just sit here until Minmus comes back around, but that's many, many days. And I don't think she carried enough supplies to really do that. So we're just going to shoot out to max distance from Kerbin here, and then we'll bring the periaps into Kerbin just fine. There we go. Point retrograde, which we can now. She can do that on her own, which is really cool. And since we're out here, this is technically the farthest we've ever been from the planet. So you can see we have our spaceship out here. The moon is right there where my cursor is, Kerbin. And then, can you see Minmus? I don't think I've ever kind of looked for Minmus. I think it's that. There's a little bit of a bright spot out here being lit up, and it doesn't look like it's part of the actual background. I think that there is Minmus. It's pretty far away. Okay. 60,000. There is the launch site there, or here. Yeah, I think it's there. That's it right there. As we fly over it, basically directly over it. Kind of rare to fly so like directly over it. Let's see if we can't see it here as we pass by. There is the mountain range. And it should be right here on this coast. And right there. So that's Kerbal Space Center. Wow. Actually loaded it in. I'm kind of surprised. It's really far away. And then there's the airstrip. Right there. Glitchy and as old looking as always. And we're basically at final descent. This is it. This is what we trained for. We, the Apoaps is basically right up next to us. We don't have a Periaps anymore, so here we go. Goodbye, Space Center. Please send boat. It'd be kind of cool to like make a recovery vessel and like have to use it. Alright, a blader doing its job. Taking the brunt of this heat here. It may run out though. No idea. It's only got 1/5 of its potential remaining. It would just scream through this upper atmosphere. Wow. Cinematic. So we might have a terrain landing. This line is going to shrink probably. I might go on the coast or I might go on the land. Your guess is kind of good as mine. Place your bets now. Are we going to do coastal landing in water or land or coastal landing on the other side? We'll see. We will definitely see here. Later, doing its job still. We're aiming for that thin outlet. And you know what? My bet's gonna go water. I don't think we have enough speed anymore. And I'll be deploying the drone chute here in a moment anyway, so this is gonna be a water one. So those of you who said this was gonna be a water landing, congratulations. You won. I don't know what, but you won it. Go ahead and open this up for a second. Observe some goo. Some pressure data, or not, that's fine too. Temperature? No? Okay, well, fine. Alright, drone chute deployed. And then just deploy the two side ones. I don't think, since this is a water landing, we will need the other ones. We're going to go ahead and jettison the heat shield just for weight. So once these open up, I'll decide whether or not we need this final parachute. So that is the droge opening up. Those are the others. 4 meters a second. That's plenty. If that doesn't survive, then we have problems. I'll go ahead and deploy the gear just so I can see. This is the ground clearance we would have if this was an actual lander going on land here. The blader totally just hit the water. We'll just float down like a little butterfly with all of our science. I kind of wish I could speed this up a little bit more. There it is. Very cinematic. Shadow. Touchdown. Alright, good. Let's go ahead and recover this. Woo! 2 trips to the moon. 2 trips. That's not bad. We'll go ahead into the R&D, and we need We need the one item here, miniaturization, I think. Because I don't think we have the landing capsule yet. No, that is advanced flight control. That would be the lander. So we need both of these. We really need the clamp, if nothing else, though. Alright, and aerodynamics. Is that when we get our first fairing? When do we get our first fairing? Ah! It's advanced construction up here. Very good. Very good. Okay, with that, guys, that's it for today's episode of Kerbal Space Program. If you guys are enjoying the content, feel free to subscribe for more creative goodness such as this. Hit that like button, really helps out the channel as we grow. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you all in the next episode.